Welcome back, I'm Tedward. Welcome to Bond Group. This is actually Bond Group, not just the parking lot I go and shoot my photos and videos in, because we have to go get some outdoor shots of this gorgeous 2016 911R. This is one of my favorite cars of all time, and we've reviewed it a couple of times. We've done a single mass flywheel and a dual mass flywheel. This one is a dual mass car. That's okay. It's always nice to have one of these as a bit of a daily driver if you can afford it. But it's also my favorite modern 911. I think this is just as good as it gets, and it's not just because of its value. And the values have obviously fluctuated. This one, as an MSRP, originally was $195,000, which seems incredible to have been able to get a limited edition Porsche for under 200 grand back then. But this is the car that kind of set off the firestorm of what Porsche was going to become in that special market in the modern era. Anyway, one other thing that's kind of odd about this car, I guess not odd, but different, is that it doesn't have a sport chrono package, which honestly kind of looks nice. You've got a really nice wide open dash. Ooh, check it out. Oh, is that a Berlina? Is that what that is? He's really going for it. What a great color. David would love that. But anyway, we're doing a morning commute. We're gonna let it rip a few times, but I just want to talk about what makes this car so special to me. So because it's got the dual mass flywheel, it doesn't have that insane chatter when you're just sitting in neutral off the clutch pedal. It's a lot more refined in that way. You know, better or worse, I suppose. Parking brake, 6-speed manual. And, you know, it set off the firestorm of, hey, we're going to now need to make cars like this. So they came out with the 991.2 GT3 Touring with a 6-speed manual. And I got to tell you, it's not the same. They're good. I can make this gap, but I'm in a 911R, and I would prefer to just, you know, be on the cautious side. Honestly, even just the ease of shifting this thing is pretty wild. We'll sit in the shade while this officer lets these fellas come through. Whoa! You can't believe these people. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. This is what I love about these guys, is like, we're in traffic, we're waiting for a cop who's directing us, and they're going head on to traffic at this guy, and he'll do nothing. He'll be like, no, you guys are fine. Totally great licensed drivers. Unbelievable. Oh, so nuts. But anyway, we're in a 911R, so I'm already having a better day than them. Put it that way. This is admittedly a lot easier to drive with the dual mass. Making sure I'm recording. That's the fear. But I gotta say, the single mass is still the answer. But you're not missing out. The funny thing is, the dual mass cost more. It was an option. But it's still plenty easy to rev match. We'll double check that I'm doing that myself. I don't think I've hit any buttons that would have enabled that feature, so always double check. Yeah, if we're curious, yep. No auto rev matching right now, so that's all me. Good boy. It is just so good. And let's take values out of the equation here. That's the problem with Porsches lately, is everybody qualifies everything with its financial value. Is it a monetary success? This and that. It's like, that does not matter. It matters if you're buying one. It matters if you're trying to afford one. But I've gotta say, like, this is the greatest 911 driving experience. It's green. I know you're in driving school, but this is crazy that you're just sitting here. Oh my goodness. But to have a car that's this raw and wild, but also genuinely easy to drive day to day, which is kind of what the purpose of this video is for now. We'll get it out and rip it a little bit once we're warm and we've got our photos done. But that's such a unique thing. Like, it's so easy to opt not to drive your fun sports cars, especially if they're worth a lot of money, because you're like, well, it's kind of a pain. But this has air conditioning. It doesn't have a rear view camera, which can make reversing a little bit of a trick. This fella's learning how to use a rotary for the first time. Easy does it. Oh my goodness. All right, we're gonna be nice. Like, I'm not gonna beep at the driving school kid, but I really want to. And I feel like I'm gonna give him like the actual truth of driving. Getting beeped at by a Porsche in a somewhat wealthy Boston suburb is pretty much as authentic as it gets. Pick a lane, Stella Artois. Good beer, bad driver. Seriously, this thing is so raw. What a move. How do you not know you're going that way? What is going on, man? I don't understand. I feel like I'm living in cuckoo banana land, watching all these people. I watched a guy, I can't believe I didn't get it on film. I watched a guy go the wrong way through a rotary yesterday in Concord. I have the audio of it, but I had turned off my camera because I'm like, I'm stuck in traffic. Why on earth would I leave my camera running? And then I saw it. We've got our front axle lift up right now, so none of these raised structures can kill our car. And we're good, we're out. Be a good doobie and not block that no turn on red lane, because a lot of people just, they're turning there, and then a lot of people will sit there and block that because it's a straight lane too. But if you have the opportunity, be a good doobie and let traffic flow through. Like, look, this guy's turning. If I'm sitting there, he ain't going anywhere. The throttle response makes this car safer? I really think so. Okay, Vermont, let's not play this game. You do not have the insurance for that, I guarantee. But having immediate power on tap makes this car so incredible. It's something that I really wish my Civic had. Don't do that. My Civic, I have to wait for the turbo to spool, and I find that very frustrating. And I've always driven NA cars, so everything being turbo nowadays, even like plenty fast Porsches, you get a Turbo S, any Carrera, whatever, they're all great, they're all fast, but like, there is this moment of like, I want it now, and you don't get it. It's a small moment, but it's a moment nonetheless. And like, watch, if I'm like, ooh, we gotta go, I'm out. Now, we only have 367 pound-feet of torque to deal with in this thing, but jump out, take some pictures, and then we'll go send her to the moon for a couple redline pulls. They repaved this, but the problem is the geese came out here and they have been relentless. They eat and they poop. It gets everywhere and it's disgusting. All right, photos are done. Time to go take her for a little drive. But man, doesn't this just have the perfect stance? It's nice and low. It's got such a look to it. I love that it's got the carbon ceramics. The yellow goes well, even though it's a simple color, white with red stripes. Not crazy, but it's iconic. And I think anybody who knows Porsche immediately recognizes an R when they see them. It's pretty hard not to be able to distinguish this car if you're a Porsche-phile. I also really love these door handles. Everything about 991 generation cars, God, they just had it so right. Everything was good. Everything was so good. I put the cup holders out as a demo when I did my bring a trailer walk around. I'm gonna pop these guys back in. Some people really hate these cup holders. I think they work really well, honestly. They're good. And this tells you it's number 284 of 991. So reasonably limited production. Drivability of this car is just so outrageous. That's what's world class about this, is that it feels at home on a racetrack, and yet it still feels like a great little daily driver that you can run about in. That's such a difficult balance to hit, and that's where I think Porsche maybe, I don't want to say peaked, but like they hit the mark on this car so high. How do you figure that out going forward? You know, the numbers go up for sure. You've got more power in newer GT cars. You've got more grip in new GT cars. You've got more downforce. You've got torque. You've got PDK that can do lightning fast shifts, all this stuff. But like this car, even against its nearly identical brother, a 991.2 GT3 Touring with a manual, it just is different. And it's just a high watermark. And sure, that one revs to 9,000. This one I think is 8,600 or 8,700. It doesn't matter. Also, this has such a characteristically different sound than the .2. That one screams a little more. This one grunts a little more. This one reminds me more of my air cooler than a 9,000 RPM 4-liter. And I'm obviously not here to say, oh, if you have a .2 GT3 with a manual, it's not worth it. No, that is a phenomenally good car. We are comparing first and second place, in my opinion, with a threshold, a margin of difference like this. But it's incredible how, to a driver, that margin is meaningful. And to me, this car is so meaningful. Check out this deer. Oh my goodness. Well, glad we weren't ripping through here. Tedward, you're driving like my grandma. Well, does your grandma drive like a $500,000 Porsche through woodsy roads with deer and cops and people, and maybe your grandma's loaded, I don't know. But like if your grandma drives this and she drives like me, your grandma sounds cool. Send me her number. I'm not gonna sleep with her, but I will hang with her. Probably at least get dinner and go to a Cars and Coffee. God. crazy is I could have still made it in front of that Subaru with a little zhuzh, but we're gonna play it safe today. Oh man, this thing rips. That guy tripped me up. I was gonna go there, but his blinker, I was like, all right, this is just not a feasible alternative right now, so we'll soldier on to the next one. A good driver sometimes misses their exit. A bad driver never misses their exit. Don't forget that. It's okay to go to the next one. Everything's gonna be okay. Road noise in the 911R. She's not the quietest. Insufferable it is not. But it's not silent. But that's part of it. Removing sound insulation, removing that sound deadening in these cars is an intentional move in making them feel sportier and feel more connected to them. It's the same thing they do in a Carrera T now. And I'm pretty sure you could buy a Carrera T for as much as this cost new in 2016. Never drive one of those Priuses, but I would drive the other one. You're driving something special when you get to the end of an on-ramp and you get on the brakes, not because you're afraid of traffic coming up, but because you're already exceeding the highway speed. And merging with traffic requires brakes. And maybe it's because of my job, but I don't really lust for cars very much. Like, I get my fix for sure, but this car is one of those, if I could have one really great sports car, I think this would be it. And I guess I could sell a bunch of stuff and kind of make it work. It would be crazy, but then the problem is I'm not wealthy enough to not be concerned about the value of this. So I would be odometer conscious, and that's basically the antithesis of this whole operation. You want to be able to buy cars that you can comfortably afford to run and maintain and brake and repair and race and go on road trips and just not think about the consequences of your actions. That's what I love about my Civic Type R, another R that I really appreciate. And to be honest, somewhat unrelated, when I first drove the Civic Type R at the launch event in Sonoma, California, I do remember getting into that car. They were all lined up. I sat in it, I started it, and the first time I moved it off the line, it really was like the difference between driving a GT3 and a 911R, because I had a Civic Si, and when I got in that Civic Type R, I gotta tell you, I got the same feeling that I get in this, where I'm like, oh my God, this is different, the clutch is different, the engine's idling different, everything was different in all the best ways. It was tighter, it was taut, it was rigid, it was connected more so than its base thing. And I know that's so strange, but back to the point of affordability, like, I can afford, I don't want to, but I can afford to break my 911, my 911. Probably can't afford to break my 911. I can afford to break My Civic, you know, that needs an engine. I hope it doesn't ever, but if that needs an engine, then like it's a K series. You know, we're not talking about $40,000. We're probably like $5 or $6 grand into that job. Cars like this, you know, you're gonna pay quite a bit of money. I don't know what the market is right now. Sometimes they're high, sometimes they're soft, but you're still looking at near the $400,000 mark, I would imagine. I could be wrong. I don't know. I haven't checked in the last 6 months, but sometimes they're $375, sometimes they're $475. I don't know. But that's just a very big chunk of money. When it comes to single mass versus dual mass, I do have an opinion. I do prefer the single mass just because I think when you're doing the raw 911R thing, you go the extra step. It's odd that that is the standard, I suppose, whereas the dual mass is the optional, more comfortable package. But I'm not going to lie and tell you that it's a completely different experience. It's not. You lose the chatter at idle with the dual mass. That's kind of nice, although the chatter is charming because you get to tell people, no, my car isn't actually broken. But it's not less pleasurable to drive. It's still plenty rev happy. You know, on those downshifts, that's me doing it. It's not in sport mode. It's still very easy to hit your rev matches properly. If you drove them back to back, you would have an opinion, maybe stronger. But I drove the single mass a couple months ago, and you know, it's maybe like 3% more exciting, if that. So if the correct 911R comes up, drive on the correct side of the road, Prius. If the correct 911R comes up on your radar for the right money, right specs, all that good stuff, like, but it doesn't have the flywheel you want, like, I really wouldn't fuss about it too much, because one of the nice things about these cars is, do you see how it just does that 1-2 and it hits it perfectly, and it all just flows nicely. I do think that you can be more violent and a little more aggressive with the single mass. So anyway, I guess we're back to reality. I'm just gonna go put this away, but I wanted to take you on what is my bizarre little morning commute. Yeah, baby. He gets it. My bizarre little morning commute in the 911R, which, like, who gets to do that? I feel like I've carved out quite a weird little space for myself in this to be able to play this game. It's wonderful. I'm gonna not take any chances with anybody in this car. That's the thing about these things. It's like, you've got to just pick your battles when you can. I'm never gonna go cut somebody off. God, this is easy to drive. We're not even speeding. We're not. We're being a little loud, slightly antisocial, but totally within reason. Oh my goodness. All right, well, thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Hopefully nobody blasts out of here without looking like that Mercedes. Anyway, don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one. Dude, everyone loves the R. Let's see. Move nice and tight over here, just in case he's doing that. Okay, we're